So the creator of Bleach just revealed a big addition, or you could call it change, that is coming to the Bleach Thousand Blood Wars finale that is probably going to be of somewhat significance, considering the fact that Bleach's story is already done. The manga was written for a while now, and ultimately anything that is of course added to it or changed is going to be somewhat of significance, considering the thing has been in the vault and been waiting to be adapted for quite some time. And based on what he said, it does seem as though the finale is going to be pivotal for potentially either the future of the series or in general something brand new for the Bleach story that hasn't been seen yet and hasn't been told, because it seems like Tybw is cooking and he's making sure that he's bringing the Bleach finale to his vision that he has, and I'm here for it. Let's talk about this. And before we continue, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you can get all notifications on the world of anime and manga. I'll keep you up to date on the news if you hit them buttons. Yes, people, of course you may have heard that Tybw, the creator of Bleach, has this thing called Club Outside, where essentially he gives tidbits, updates, information, a lot of things that you might be interested regarding either himself, future works, or things related to the world of Bleach, his biggest property that he's created. And in his most recent wordings, it got a lot of the Bleach fandom and the internet in somewhat of a, I guess you would say, exciting way, because he basically dropped a bombshell that the Bleach finale is going to have somewhat of an addition. Because for the most part, if you've read the Bleach manga, then you of course know how it goes, you know who's involved, you know how this thing is all going to end. However, if you've only been an anime only up until this point, then anything in there might actually be fresh and brand new. And at the same time, based on what he said, this is going to be fresh and brand new to everybody. So whether you read the manga or not, you're gonna want to check out the finale, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be an exact one-to-one of the manga. And before we actually talk about it, I just want to say that I'm actually happy for this. I think that this is going to be exciting and interesting, so long as it doesn't change the entire premise of the finale, right? So long as this new addition of what he's about to bring to the table doesn't completely restructure everything that we know, which I doubt that would be the case. Ultimately, Kubo still wants to stick to his, original vision for the most part. It just seems as though there's some new ideas potentially that he's had and some new concepts, and in general, seems like he wants to keep things fresh. But for somebody that has actually experienced the original source material, it seems like it's going to be a good thing to keep both new fans and older fans alike excited for this thing, so that we're not just like expecting like, okay, we already read the manga, we know what's going to happen. And based on what we've seen in prior seasons of the Thousand Blood War thus far, anything that he has done that was not actually in the manga, whether it was the extension of the Zero Squad versus Watch's Peoples or whatnot, that battle was insane and the additions was great. It seems like he hasn't missed yet with the changes that he's made from the original source material to the actual anime. But let's read what he actually said and we'll talk some more. Kubo's comment on his club. He said, "I'm super late, but happy Valentine's. Right now I'm doing a bit of character design work for the final episode of the Bleach anime. When you see it, I want you to think, hey, this guy wasn't in the manga, was he?" And just to clarify, the phrasing that he used was basically meaning final episode, not final season. So essentially what's going to be added, this newfound character that wasn't in the original manga, is not going to be throughout the entire final season or anything like that. Essentially, it seems like it's going to be in the final episode, which therein raises a lot of questions, because again, if it's not going to be somebody that is going to be throughout the final arc, then it's safe to say that this character isn't going to be a part of any of the big battles. So as far as what the final fight between Ichigo and Yhwach and everything that's been going down thus far, that's probably going to stay for the most part the same. That's probably going to be, I don't want to say a one-to-one, because again, Tybw has shown that he ultimately has been keeping true for the most part to the manga. It's been a pretty faithful adaptation for the most part, again, aside from some, extended scenes that looked great and were great. So for anybody that may be worried of like, oh no, they could mess this up, like, don't worry about it. Like, for the most part, the final season is going to be as expected for manga readers, and for anime only viewers that are thinking like, well, if it's not going to stick to the source material, is it going to be good? Again, the final battle and everything is probably going to be the same. At most, maybe the final fight and the final, squabble, so to speak, is going to probably just be a bit extended, hopefully, because there was some stuff back then that the creator essentially had some issues health-wise, where he kind of had to, rush things along, so to speak. This time around, it's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to be, hopefully, given a bit more care and a bit more detail, especially with some stuff, which I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's certain parts in the very end of the final fight that was like, yo, that could have easily been at least another 5 to 10 chapters. So despite the fact that, yeah, we only have a limited amount of episodes, they could probably extend those parts. But again, I say all that to say that the finale and the final fights is going to be, you know, the same for the most part. However, the final episode, this new character that wasn't in the manga, some people are theorizing that Tybw is going to go the route of including characters that were from the light novels, characters that never, of course, were in the manga, never were in the anime, and ultimately they're still part of the source material some way. I could potentially see it because, again, you got to think final episode, and without me getting into extreme amounts of spoilers, it does seem as though certain aspects of the finale that really weren't explored all too much, in particular regarding certain characters getting together and certain celebrations, those aspects might get a bit more detail and a bit more extensive. So it could very well be that this character is a part of that particular plot line, and it could be a character that was, because there is certain novels that explore certain aspects that, again, the manga didn't really get too much into. So it could be very well a character that is just going to be a part of those things. It could be something else though, and again, he said guys, so we have to be very clear, like, that it's probably going to be more than likely an adult character that's going to be included. It could be a new Shinigami captain that's going to be introduced. It could be inclusion of a character from the past that we never got to see, but ultimately now we're about to finally witness this character being involved in things. And then, of course, there's one of the biggest theories that the reason Tybw is doing this is the fact that he's going to tie this all in, so to speak, with the finale, in terms of have it connected to essentially the sequel series that he's been working on, the manga sequel. Some people are theorizing essentially that this is going to be a character that is kind of connected to those events, and that's how he's going to essentially tease the future of the Bleach series, so that people don't feel like, oh, Bleach is completely over now. Tybw is probably not going to want to stray too far away from the source material, so it'll probably be a good addition to this whole thing. It'll probably be a character that is, you know, noteworthy, so to speak. I doubt Tybw is going to hype this thing up and mention this character and then it just be like a random. But ultimately, I think for the most part, even with this character being added to the finale of Bleach, things are still for the most part going to play out how the source material have it. So I don't necessarily think that this character is going to be the biggest game changer in the world. It could possibly be connected to later events, possibly not, because again, one of the major aspects of why the Bleach anime even returned to begin with was the fact that fans were waiting for so long to see one of their favorites and, you know, the finale of the Bleach source material finally see an anime adaptation. So I don't think that Kubo's going to want to stray too far away from that vision, and at the same time, just kind of the spirit of what this whole anime adaptation has been up until this point of giving fans what they want. This was like not only, of course, a big resurgence for the Bleach series, but this was kind of giving fans a little bit of a, hey, you know, y'all waited so long for this, here you guys go, and here's a faithful adaptation with beautiful art, beautiful animation, very faithful. Like, I don't think that Kubo's gonna try and break that apart. But yeah, Bleach finale based on the original creator will have a brand new character, or a new character that we've not seen in the manga and probably not in the anime. Regardless of whichever way it goes, I know a lot of people are excited, and again, this is going to be even more intense and more interesting for both manga readers and anime onlys, because yeah, new material, new character. Let's see where this thing goes. But let me know what you guys think. Any theories you have on who this character that's going to be added is going to be, what is his connections gonna be, and your overall thoughts and expectations. That's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in.